go ahead and call to order the Safety and Service meeting for Wednesday, November 3rd. We have Marvin is here. I am here. Doug is here. Mayor Dutcher is here. Jim Leonard, Jack Liggett, Chief Haroon, Bailey Klimchak, Teresa Monroe. Do we have any action on the minutes from September 7th? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second, all in favor? Aye. 3-0, moving on. Just to call out here, it was a carryover item from the last joint meeting that we had with finance about entertaining a request from the American Legion to have alcohol at their Legion sponsored event in the American Legion Hall. But that request has since been withdrawn. So we will not be hearing that unless it is resubmitted. Should be. Okay.
I didn't really check.
Hint.
Yeah, right. I understand that the decision to ask, the request to ask was not uniformly agreed upon. And so it was maybe an individual or a couple individuals.
I heard that before. I made the statements that I made at our last meeting. It wasn't a clear-cut vote with all of them.
Yeah.
And my other question was, it's null and void now, but do they have to get a permit from the state?
For special events and stuff, or just as it's currently written in
They
the
asked for
lease?
just to be special events if they was gonna serve it all the time. Well, it's void, null and void now. So.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the event they're gonna have.
I think you can have like liquor licenses just to consume, not to sell.
Yeah, like a wedding or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we did for our wedding. I did.
I would think that I would imagine maybe that would be what was going to be requested, but I don't know. But I just wanted to give everybody an update on that, considering that was something that we had talked about previously. The next item up, the review of utility department reports for council. We do this in the finance side of things, so I figured on the safety and service side with water, sewer, and street. The reports that are on there for council, Jack, I didn't know if there's anything for committee that you wanted to highlight real quick, or if there are any questions or comments from committee to Jack about any of these reports. But we'll just open it up for that conversation.
Well, I can just bounce down to them real quick. Number one, we are on the last ring for the tower is formed. We are not pouring concrete yet because we have to wait for the break strength of the ring below it to firm up just a little bit. The cooler weather is causing the concrete to take just a little bit longer to firm up. Well, number two, Jersey Street. That project is in its final review on Jersey Street. The line is installed. It's actually functioning. The last rain that we had, which was not as much as they predicted would come, seemed to operate just fine and wonderfully. We got some ditch settling, a few items like that we got to clean up, but it's all but basically done. There is an outstanding issue with George Holbrook where UUI got out of the easement and into his driveway. We are going to withhold our final payment until Mr. Holbrook and UUI have come to terms on how they're going to settle that, so we can maintain a little bit of leverage to make sure that's taken care of satisfactorily up there. But I haven't heard anything about it in a couple of days, so I think they're tentatively getting that worked out. Water plant, it is in phase one. Jacobs is still reviewing different types of options, different type of plants. They've had a number of questions. We've had a demo on some lime drying equipment. So it's moving along as it should. I believe December is when we should have the report from them on phase one. Number 4, Egan and Associates. We have submitted for the increase in the current wells at the well field. And also I've met with the EPA and Egan Associates about the placement of an additional well to feed the additional plant. So they are under their review right now. The EPA is. Did not see any outward problems in what we were doing or the initial look over the pump tests that we sent in. So I don't foresee any problems there. Number 5, the sewer plant is also in phase 1. Actually, I had a demonstration down there today on a new type of screen for the front of the plant. But again, it's still phase 1. What type of plant, what type of equipment, what's going to be most cost effective? That's still what they're doing in phase 1. And I don't, top of my head, I don't think that phase 1 is completed till January on their timeline. Dog park says here project started. Well, the gates have been hung and the dog park is completed. I'm going to defer real quick to Bailey because I think she had a walkthrough the same time I was at the sewer plant looking at other equipment. So
Yep, it's done. The gates are all on. We just have to hang the signs. So I'll talk to Mike and get those on his schedule. And then we can schedule a ribbon cutting or whatever you guys want to do. Dog play date.
a dog play date.
Play date,
Yeah.
bring your dog.
And then, as you said, or not as you said, as we had planned, you'll see, we'll probably discuss it in the next finance meeting, a CIP for the parking lot and such down at the front of the dog park. I actually got the updated estimate for that with some additional drainage, additional catch basin, because it's right at that low spot, and taking topsoil out and gravel and base being put in, not asphalt, but we're going to drive on gravel for a little bit, let it get set in. And the estimate was $37,000 for that. I think we had put that in the CIP originally. Bailey, we're good on that number, correct?
Yes.
So I think 40,000 was what was in there, but the contractor told me 37 is where he believed he's going to be. Of course, that's up to the council. The bike,
That would be for next year, right?
yes, CIP,
Yeah.
CIP 2022.
Yeah.
If council leaves, approves it, leaves it in there for that parking. Trailhead sidewalk, as you know, is into the shelter house. Bike racks have been installed. Number 9, the newly named Forever Project. It is moving along. All the concrete sidewalks and curbing have been poured. They're working on backing those curbs now with topsoil and reclamation in yards. The plan is for pavement to go down next Tuesday on that road.
We had issues with seating with 62. You feel confident with them seating here?
Different contractor. We're hoping for our best. Now, I will say this for UUI. If you drive by the water plant, you see the seating they did where they work there. I mean, the grass grew and it grew like crazy. I mean, it came up within 10 days and we've had to cut it twice. I mean, so I don't know what seed is different than another, but quite frankly, what UUI did has done a wonderful job.
Probably has more to do with the contractor than it does the seed.
I would agree with that, but they are putting topsoil down on South Oregon. They're just not skinning the yards. They're putting topsoil down to give the seed, something to grab a hold of.
Talking about seating, did we take care of the issues up on Shockton that were brought in front of council a couple meetings back?
The answer to that is no.
Or that's my fault because I was supposed to get him some help with that and I haven't produced. I'll take blame off of Jack's back for that. It's my fault.
Well, no fault, just something we've got to do. And if you've been up there, it has filled in quite a bit. All that rain we got here late in the fall has helped the situation. And am I right? Is the individual that did the calling, she sold her house
I don't know if she sold the house, she sold the business.
Okay,
Yeah.
doesn't make it right or wrong because we gotta get the yard fixed, but it actually looks much better than it did. I still think we gotta get some top dressing done on that. And then, as you all know, the Edwards Road bid came in over budget and we're gonna rebid that in February. So that's a very quick rundown on those projects. Any other questions?
I got a question.
Okay,
Dog park parking lot,
yes.
when they put that in, are you gonna have them put number 8s on top and roll it down so it's almost compacted?
Yep. Yep, we'll go with some heavier stone in the bottom because that is very soft right down there, simply because that's the low spot between the hill and the road. And that's why I need to put some additional drainage in there to carry that water out. So yes, we're gonna put a good base and then roll that top down smooth.
Have you experimented or seen where they put that fabric underneath the lots?
Yes, the fabric is a fairly expensive situation that I talked with the contractor about. He doesn't believe that it'd be necessary if we get the drainage and put a stone base in there. The water should flow through the stone into the drainage pipe. Doesn't believe we need to put the fabric down. I can get a price for fabric if you believe it's necessary. But generally, we don't put that down unless we don't think we can get it to drain. And what the fabric actually does is bridges. It'll stop stuff from
Going through.
going through.
If you've got a lot of topsoil in there, I know they'll probably get down through that topsoil, but it
Yeah, the plan was.
stops a lot of this, it cuts down on the amount of stone you have to use.
Yeah, but I actually was thinking if we took that out during a dry time, I can actually use that topsoil, moving it over just a little east and spread that on top of that next section area to try to get some grass to grow in that next section.
You can do that down on Coshocton Street. Just dump a load in there in the yard and seed it.
Well, it'll be a little clumpy chunky, but what I'm saying is, that's a little different, but where we're trying to get grass to go in those bare areas over there at the trailhead, I think I can back drag that and smooth it out and run a roller over it. And I can seed there. Maybe in the yard, we want to use pulverized topsoil. I might want that in my yard if I was doing it. But over there where we're trying to get, just get some of that hard clay covered with some topsoil. I was just gonna move that right over to the side and then replace it with gravel, but we can look at it however you want to look at it.
Just a question. not a-
Okay,
not a- Not a, just a question, not a request.
Okay, all right.
With the dog, we're talking about the dog park and the parking lot down there. I assume the dog park will be able to be utilized through the winter.
Oh, sure.
So do we plan on plowing down there then in snow or not?
Well, the dog park entrance off of Douglas, there is no parking lot there. They can't park there now until we build something. Our assumption would be that they would park up at the trailhead and have to walk
Okay,
to the front of the dog
Okay.
park until next year.
And mark it off with some sort of semi-permanent barrier so people don't rut it up.
right.
So we then have to fix that plus put the parking lot in.
Do we plan to plow anything to the end, the gate to enter the dog park then from the parking lot?
We could plow down Douglas, but there's no way to plow that grass low area.
So for walking, you just have to traipse through to, okay, all right. We hadn't talked about it. I
Until
had
next
think about
year.
it. Yeah.
Until
I'll do
next
it.
year, then we'll get that built there.
Yeah.
And just as a side note, they're actually putting the leveling course of stone on the trailhead gravel parking lot today. They plan to pave it Friday.
Excellent. And that'll be in addition to the North Oregon stuff
North Oregon's done.
or the north side, all the north side pavings done.
All north side paving is completed.
I've been over that side of town in a minute, so
Okay.
fair enough.
It's all completed. I think it looks good now. We do have that one storm sewer off the edge of the road that has to go down North Oregon, be installed. That work is supposed to start next Tuesday.
We did Benedict too, right?
Benedict, there's a piece of Benedict, piece of Buena Vista,
Yeah,
Upham, and North Oregon from Edwards to
excellent.
Kraken,
Which side of the street's that going on up on North Oregon?
west. if you say North Oregon runs north and south,
Yeah,
that's what we call it, North and South Oregon, it would be the west or
be on the
Columbus
left as you're
side.
going up.
Yeah, or Columbus side of the road.
So it sounds like the timing worked out pretty well with all the paving and everything. like that.
Yeah, I will say, calling them, tell them they could come in and work ahead, because they were trying to work those jobs in order, I think really worked out to benefit for us as we feel this cooler weather coming. Because if they hadn't done that, those roads wouldn't have been done yet, and it had been lined up after South Oregon in these
Yeah.
parking lots. So I'm pretty well pleased.
So we should be going into the winter with South Oregon open,
Yes,
north side paving done,
yes,
and the parking lot for Jersey Trailhead.
go ahead.
Done.
Done.
That's great.
Yeah,
Very
but
good.
it's already been put on Zulu or whatever they call it. Those houses up there increased $10,000 a piece in value on North Oregon.
Really?
Well, that'd be good. At the very least, that'd be great. Speaking financially, to have those POs closed out and not carry over into next year. So.
Yes, I've been trying to work with Dana to get as many of those closed as I possibly can. We're gonna get Croton Road closed out. We're gonna get Salt Temple closed out. So, yeah, getting a lot of those things.
Okay.
Snapped up.
Just from the reports and things like that, I really appreciate the addition of the shut off numbers that I think are on there on the water report.
Okay,
I appreciate that. I think that's fantastic just to understand the ebb and the flow and the, relative to, what an average may be, or just seeing how that flows. So thank you for adding that in. And then I did see that it looked like we had the thermoplastic down for Ford Street
yes, it's done.
too. So thank you for that as well.
As Mike and his crew got that completed for us. We also got the thermoplast done in Post Office Alley.
Perfect. Great.
It has helped post office.
Has it? I was wondering,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any phone calls, have you?
not after we got it down. There was a little grumping when, when we were putting it down. And I explained to them that if they were on the roadside of the white line, they, if they parked there, they could be could be ticketed. And
Did you see what they done at Carol's beauty shop? It's fine. It's just funny. She pulls her car in there and there's about that much of her rear end of the
Hangs
car
over.
hangs out, and just went up to it, went on the other side, went on down. It doesn't bother anybody. It's fine. I thought it was funny.
That doesn't sound like what I would have probably done, but
Well,
Whatever works.
well, and if it was there when they tried the thermoplast, they probably just had to go around it so they could keep
Yeah.
going.
So you can tell what cars are on the road when they're running the street sweeper.
I can, I'll take a look at that.
it's fine. I just thought it was funny.
Okay. Anything else on council reports? Well, I think you hit most of the projects during that as well. Are there any projects that we left out or anything that
None that I want to talk
we
about.
didn't touch on?
Well, I sent an email late today, based on our conversation, Ben, about the Croton Road.
We have that under other business. We'll pull that up though, since you're talking about it.
Oh, no,
That's-
no,
Oh, go ahead. That's because that's a potential, could be a potential construction project, but go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
So round two of the state money came out. Cheryl actually sent it to me last night. We weren't selected in phase two, and that is the 2.5 million that we replied for the Croton Road, or no, Croton Hartford water line. 1.25 for our water plant, 1.25 for connection fees. So first round was 96,000. I think this one was 46,000 or 46 million. So we're at what, 130, 140. They still have another 110 to give out. But that being said, the county commissioners dropped a nice one on us, and now we have to apply for the county commissioner funds for that project. And also in their application, they want communities to divvy up or give up some of their ARP money. And I sent an email and copied you on it this afternoon, basically saying if you're making us as a condition of the application, commit our funds, I think I'm pretty certain that we'll pull out of the project in a heartbeat. So we'll see where that goes. On November 8th, there's I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're fine.
On November 8th, there's a commissioners meeting. Jack and I are going to go down. You're more than welcome to go as well. To discuss the rules that they put in place to try and get some of their $34 million. So that was never brought up during our 3 or 4 meetings with Commissioner Black. And now it is.
Ken Oswald, so
Well, I think we should be applying for our own project.
So they're,
Heck with them.
We kind of
tried.
had a little bit of a discussion like that in finance about
Right.
if we're not going down the route for the fairgrounds, then there are other things within the village that we can certainly put a good argument toward to capture some of those funds for go forward.
but we also, if we're not going to go up to the fairgrounds, we need to pull our application from the state and let someone else get that 2.5.
And that's why, is there any way to get any more concrete information about this draft that was sent out and the assumed permanence of the language, and then how that relates to the project any sooner than November 8th, so that we don't spend another week talking about something that may not actually happen?
I mean, I could call Ken and see.
I think with anything at this point, time is of the essence. Just my suggestion.
would you be interested in calling him and talking to him, Ben?
What, the commissioners?
I think you gotta go to Ken.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing it.
So after I wrote the email, I thought, well, maybe they're thinking since it's gonna benefit Hartford, they're gonna have to give their money. But my gut reaction is we're gonna have, since we're getting the money, that we'll have to give up our money
We're
too.
talking about a piece for capacity for water and sewer, saying we'd probably fall into definition of a beneficiary.
Technically not.
Beneficiary of the
We're not gonna be a beneficiary of the art funds. We're gonna be a beneficiary of the state.
state. But is it totality of the project, or is it? Yeah. So I just, because I don't know if they're hearing this as a part of their meetings tomorrow, or if it's something that's further on down.
No, it's the 8th.
Next
Monday.
next week.
So,
Wait and see.
all right.
I'll be there.
What time is that meeting again? I can't recall.
Ooh.
1:30?
1:30.
I think it was 1:30, Jim.
Yeah, 1:30.
Okay. But yeah, you just send that email out to everybody, so everybody should have that info to look over.
In a sense, the commissioners, in all fairness to them.
I think you sent it to anybody who was a stakeholder in the meetings for the water line.
Be interested to find out. if They committed any money to Southwest.
Or Hanover. It was us and they sent that original draft policy to Southwest Licking. They have to be talking to them.
I seen somewhere where Southwest Licking had applied or was getting quite a few, several $1 million for their system. And what my question is, it's a privately owned system. And it's a for-profit system. Is it legal to put taxpayers' money in?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it the question for you to ask me, Ben?
A public-private partnership, right?
I don't know what it is.
I don't know how it was originally set
Sounds
up.
like fish to me.
Well, I know Delco got 2 grants out of this round 2 from the state of Ohio.
It did.
So I gotta assume Delco and Southwest are the same kind of animals. So I don't know how they work or operate.
Maybe Delco's gonna come in on the county commissioners too. Down that county line road.
All in all, it was disappointing to see,
Surprising to see.
surprising to see, considering the conversations we've had thus far. But
It'd be different if there was a caveat during any one of those meetings, be like, hey, guys, this is what we're thinking of how this is gonna work. Nah,
Not a thing.
I
Not a-
never mentioned that.
Never.
So,
But you were very clear that that was not ever even going to be considered. I mean, you said countless times.
That's why we kept having the
100%
meetings.
Funded, through
Right.
these grants.
And no ratepayer, Johnstown ratepayer money was gonna be used.
And that was actually said, so no surprise to them.
Had something to the contrary come up in meeting 2, I doubt very much there would have been a meeting 3.
Correct.
So, I don't know, just surprising, but I think that just, there's several more questions to ask to understand what and why and everything else. But to that end, if there's anything else locally that we can look at, if we're not going down this route, then it probably behooves us to do that once we get these questions asked, if this draft document comes to being permanent. So, perfect. Good caveat into that. I had that in another business just because of the last couple call outs, so we can cross that off. The other item on here was one that we carried over from a couple meetings back, which is crosswalk demonstration project. Bale, I think you had this on there. I don't think we really talked about it much at all at the last meeting, so I kind of turn it over to you.
So LCATS is involved in some of the active transportation projects going on in Newark. And they previously in Newark put on sort of an example project to show what raised crosswalks would look like in Newark. And they have some of the materials left over from that project that they thought the village might like to use, because we identified some raised crosswalks in our active transportation plan. So what those raised crosswalks would include is polymer temporary speed bumps. They're bright in color and they're raised off of the pavement. So drivers actively see them and they have to slow down to drive over them. They are temporary. They're not meant to be permanent. And they're really meant to kind of give you a real-time idea of what your money would be going towards if you decided that you wanted to install a permanent raised crosswalk. I told him I'd bring it to you guys, and I figured you guys would probably not want to do it until the spring just due to snow plowing. So you guys have a little bit of time to think about it. But if you decide that that's something you'd be interested in seeing, LCATS has offered to help us install the project and help us kind of interpret the results and be a partner in the project.
It's a test case.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a length of time?
I didn't ask. I don't know how long they had the one up in Newark. I would say at least a couple of weeks just to sort of see how it goes and how, drivers react to that. But I can ask them.
A financial commitment? I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
No, they'd lend us the materials and we wouldn't, then we'd give them back when we're done.
Okay.
How high does it raise the crosswalk?
I'm, Jim brought them up for you.
So this is at Hudson and one intersection north of 16. Basically, they're trying to emulate a roundabout. So it's these basically speed limits, maybe since.
Yeah.
So probably
4 inches.
at most, 4 maybe. Because Newark wants to put a roundabout here, so they tested this out to see what the effects may be before going with actual roundabout in.
So with using this as a crosswalk, the idea would be that if, however, we're analyzing the results, if it came back favorable, whatever that meant, then the idea would be that these types of this type of equipment would be installed in those areas. Like you said, a raised crosswalk that would
Yeah, something more-
actively slow down traffic and,
Something more permanent.
okay.
Yeah, we could saw cut in and put some curbs in, then extend the curb out into the street, so you shorten up that length of time a pedestrian is vulnerable in the middle of the street. We had it in our TAP application 3-4 years ago, probably as well. Transportation Alternatives Program.
What areas are you thinking about testing this, or do you think would be effective?
The first areas that came to my mind were the downtown crosswalks, the ones crossing over from business side to business side. But then someone else also mentioned the crosswalk over Concord Crossing. The reason that the downtown crosswalks came to my mind is because they are identified in the active transportation.
What about the one at Edwards Road, where the school crossing is?
It'd be the main street one.
Be on North Main Street.
Yeah, that one is not identified in the active transportation plan, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't do it.
I'd also be remiss if I didn't call out the bike path across Concord. All day long. I'll throw that out there.
We're not using them as speed bump.
Right.
Emergency.
It just leave.
It's a crosswalk, so.
I don't know.
Not going home.
Mm,
Had a phone call.
See what, yeah. So it's not speed bumps.
Right.
Left is.
Raised
So
crosswalk.
you're trying. No, we're trying to shorten the length of the time in which they're in the road,
That's the point.
correct?
Okay.
Not slowing traffic down.
Okay.
So like,
I guess then conceptually, I just understand how these would be, because I get the roundabout thing. That makes sense. How would we,
so we would
Install
install
them.
The curb ramp. the curb
I
ramp
see.
right Here, these installations would then extend the curb ramp out here.
I got it.
So
I got
now
it, yeah.
you are shortening the time they're in the road.
And the idea being that the narrower the road, the slower the speed, which is again why we talked about maybe not necessarily taking parking out of the downtown because it helps slow speed down through that downtown corridor.
And the active transportation plan, we've sort of talked about this a little before, but just kind of brightening up that the road paint so you really
Yeah.
see it.
I got it. Okay. So they wouldn't be built to drive over. It
Correct.
would be built to extend out the sidewalk to make the walking path shorter.
Emulating a curb.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. I don't know if I was the only one that was confused.
All's good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I understand. Because we did have that. I think we had those bump outs from Pratt all the way down to Leafy Dell with a sidewalk and everything like that included, just for those reasons. I got it. Okay.
They just happen to be using.
Yeah.
Speed bumps as the mechanism, the temporary mechanism.
That's fair. Well, for me, it makes sense to me. Zero cost, help interpretation of the results. We had it in a TAP application before, so the assumption would be that any data that we would get with this, that we'd be able to take and utilize for any future TAP application and say, well, this is what we proposed and we actually tested it. These are the results. So implementation is less of a variable because you already know potentially what the outcome is going to be. I see it as a win-win. I don't know why we wouldn't do it. In my mind, I can't think of a reason. Especially since they're being kind enough to let us borrow it and help us interpret the results and things like that. So, do you know offhand, like how they plan to measure the metrics? What would be a favorable result?
I'm not sure if you guys are open to it. I'll probably invite them to come into Johnstown and take a look at the crosswalks with me and just see maybe what they'd recommend and ask what kind of results we would get.
I think it's a good idea. Marvin, Doug, I'm not sure. I agree.
They have some portable pedestrian counters.
Yep.
That we could put up prior to and during and after and see.
Smart. Street speed in some way. I don't know if the goal is to lower speed in that area as a part of that as well.
Probably secondary, not primary. Though.
Sure.
Yeah.
But whatever you can measure when the time's there. Marvin, I mean,
How much is it gonna cost us to put works? How much is it gonna cost to put permanent ones?
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to saw cut and drop curbs in and all that stuff.
if it's not a part of any kind of grant application
Correct.
that we don't get. Yeah.
But that'll be a secondary decision after we prove or disprove that it's something we want.
Wonder if completely different application, but I wonder if something like that would work. At 62 and 37, where people keep creeping up on that stop bar where the trucks are turning. They was gonna repaint that. I don't know if they've done it yet or not.
They have,
They did.
They did.
the state did.
I see people pulling up above that, past that all the time. Is that a ticket offense?
Yes, sir.
If they got 10 or 15 tickets up there, people quit doing it. I mean, we're not in the business to write tickets, but every one of those trucks, and I'm not in sympathy of the guys that's driving the trucks, but and a lot of times it's because people pull up to that bar and the guy gets all excited and inexperienced and they get on the bell. And the whole town gets messed up in traffic.
You bring up a good point, Marvin. The other thing, the other area that may be beneficial depending on how much material they have, maybe the
I don't-
south side.
I don't think that that particular application will be good up there for the stop
Right.
we're talking about. Maybe we just need to do more enforcement up there on that.
I'm thinking if we we talked about bumping out the sidewalk on the south side of the 6237 intersection by the clock. You know what I'm talking about there.
Mhm.
We talked about that at one point to try and
Where they cut it wider,
where they cut it
they took the
wider.
bench.
Yeah. But we did talk about that at some point to keep people from using that additional space as a right-hand turn.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah. Just may be a consideration. I'm not sure. They did widen that area.
De facto, right turn lane. if there's one there.
Correct.
If they're using it and it's not causing a problem, why not let them make it legal and let them use it as a right turn?
We did talk about that.
We talked about it,
I mean, that traffic gets backed up there so bad.
trucks.
And
The
for
trucks
the-
can't make the turn.
Well, you're talking about if they're coming from Kroger's and turning right at the clock, is what you're talking
Correct.
about.
That's why they made that bigger and took the benches for the turning radius for the trucks turning on to 37.
You know, if there's enough room there, why don't we consider making that another lane?
But you can't get them all the way over where that lane would be
Right.
because then that cuts down their,
The turning,
Turning
Can't
radius.
make that.
They'd have to almost drive over to Dashing Diner to make the.
Yeah, if the truck hugs his curb,
Okay,
yeah,
he's
it's,
not able to make that right. He needs that extra.
we have to put a bell over there then.
We got a clock.
But if that's not going to achieve the ends, if it's still a matter of the turning radius for the truck and it doesn't make sense to do it, then we don't. But I know we talked about that at one point, just.
But I think that's the lesser of the four evils on that corner.
Sure.
You don't have many trucks turning right there as you do on the other three corners.
Sure, but it's the easiest one to turn right.
It is. I don't disagree with that, but that's,
Well, and don't forget too, LCATS is gonna take up this conversation, or not LCATS, Lincoln County Transportation Improvement District as well.
Sure.
They were supposed to last month, but it got canceled.
It sounds favorable. I don't know if anybody has any other questions, but we'll do a vote on committee to move forward with the conversation. Does anybody have any other questions or comments before?
Those temporary structures, can they withstand the weight of a truck?
When they're installed, you have to, obviously have to drill into the pavement, right?
Yeah,
Or are they glued?
I would assume that they're drilled in. But I can ask that too.
Jack's gonna want to know.
Yeah, John.
Feel the aneurysm coming on.
Yeah.
Jack's gonna wanna
you
know.
want me to do what?
Saying Jack's gonna want to know how they're adhered to the pavement, because if they're drilled,
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out.
yeah. I'll ask that question. I'll go ahead and make a motion then to at least move forward with the conversation and invite them into town. And did you have something else, Marvin? I'm sorry.
I think since it's dealing with the streets and stuff, and Jack's our street guy, I think we ought to get his input on it. If they're gonna come in and start drilling holes and stuff in there, and then take them out, regardless of how good you fill them, you still get water seeping in there, and you're gonna have potholes.
I don't disagree. I think if it comes to the point where the way they've been doing it is drilling it, but they can, adhere it to the pavement in some other way, that will, it can at least continue the conversation. And that'll give Bailey the ability to reach back out and say,
Well, I
hey, there
didn't
is.
say not to continue the conversation. I just want Jack's opinion if it's.
Yeah. Actually, want to drill the streets. Are you all right with that?
No.
So Bailey is talking about the crosswalk demonstration project,
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
about where they may go and how we may do it. And there's general favorability. It's just the question is, how are they adhered to the asphalt?
They're probably drilled and then a peg drove down through. And with our new hot mix machine, actually, I can fill and seal those when we're done.
So you would be okay.
It's never great to penetrate, good asphalt. However, I think I can fill it and then put the heat tool over the top of it and try to seal it back up.
Awesome. Okay. And maybe it's worth the question asking, to withstand any kind of truck traffic or what have you, does it have to be drilled or can it be adhered some other
Yeah.
way? And if the answer is no, we at least know that. If the answer is yes, then that's probably going to be the more favorable.
That thing's glued there and the kids find out, they'll put their tongue on there and pop the clutch and. Put it out.
I actually think I heard you guys talk about, but we wouldn't think about till spring, or because snow plows will just eat that stuff up.
No, Cats isn't gonna want to put it in the cold winter. They're gonna want a nice spring day.
I'm going to agree with that. Yeah. But yeah. I think I can get that sealed up. It's not the problem it used to be.
Okay.
Okay.
I put out the motion to go ahead and at least continue that conversation, ask those questions, favorability from committee. Is there a second to do so?
I'll second. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You got
Marvin,
2
second.
You got 2 seconds.
Probably
2
redundant.
seconds is up.
Probably redundant, but all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're good with that one. Thank you, Bailey. I guess keep us up to date as they continue to come in, or they have any other answers to any of these questions. That'd be great. The last item on here would keep it on the agenda moving forward, the sidewalk replacement program.
Yes,
Doug,
I
was it-
haven't done anything with that.
okay. And keep it on for
Wanna
next
trade
month.
Seating for sidewalk.
Good.
You keep it on for next month then?
I think maybe going into 2022, we need to keep it. I don't know that we're gonna do anything this year with it.
So just put it for like January
Yeah.
22.
Move it down to January.
Okay. Done and done. Any other business?
I do have 2 things. Driving down Buena Vista today, where they're building new houses.
Yes.
Are we going to emulate other places in Johnstown where there's no parking on one side of the street? Had 2 backhoe trailers basically sitting across from each other, and with my truck barely fit through there. If there's,
Already be that way, mister.
what's that?
Should already be that way.
Not, I don't think I saw a sign parking on one side or the other, no parking on one side or the other. I don't think the signage is up.
It-
Down by the new
I
houses.
don't think it is by the new houses. I'm trying to think where. it's
On
parked.
Buena Vista?
Right where Bennett
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, where they're building the new houses, there's construction going on both sides. It's just tight right now, and that is a cut through for some people, and speed is a little factor in there, and you put a couple construction trailers across from each other, and now you got a pinch point.
So more of the 2 come together and head towards Edwards.
Yep.
Road. Would 2 be enough?
So we would need to get one posted right at the start of the roadway. So like from Edwards, that road's gonna be going north. So it would need to be posted pretty much right there.
So you want the no parking on the north?
Well, it would be, so the road itself faces northbound,
Yeah.
and we would need that on
East side.
the side of the roadway.
So you want, as you're traveling northbound, you want them
On the east.
on the east side.
So
Okay.
as you go up the road, they're definitely posted up there. And to your complaint, I was down there earlier too. I saw vehicles parked in the wrong direction.
Yeah. That's right after I saw you this morning. I cut through there.
So then I told them like, hey, kind of get your act together. And then I was like, there's even, you can't even be parked on the side of the road. And what do you mean? I'm like, there's a sign right there. It's
Yeah.
right there.
Okay. I didn't recall seeing one, but I'm I'm not questioning you that it's not.
They are there.
I don't know if, I think they're where Benedict is. I know that they're there where Benedict is all the way to where.
Yeah, maybe we just need to look and,
connects back into
Or
Benedict.
where you
Yeah.
got curbs, they're not on that street.
But I don't think they're on
So-
the
May not be.
new, I don't think they're on the new section
So
of it.
it may not be.
Well, I guess let's see what.
If I
Google
get
Maps
one
is
at the
saying.
beginning of the connection
Is it-
and
there's
one
Wasn't on
about
that
side
pole
way
there?
down,
There's
right-
nothing on that.
Right there, Jim.
No, wasn't on that
You
pole.
turn it around. There should be one that was like right there.
On the light pole?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, they're all individually
Yeah,
posted.
they wouldn't be on any of those light poles.
Oh, they're not?
No, they're all individually.
Individual
posted.
standing signs.
This is Johnstown, not.
Well, they're on the light poles in Leafy Dell.
Some places are definitely on. the
They're a
light pole.
mix. Yeah, there's a mix in there.
And here, they're all freestanding though.
So what we can do is have Chief and Jack work out the logistics of
Where they
getting them
go.
installed.
Yeah.
I think.
If
like-
they're not, I'm
Right
just
where the
saying if
two
they're
roads
not.
come together,
I'm not
Yes.
when you
questioning
turn
it if it's
northbound
done or not.
on
Just
there, and then it's
look
one
at-
maybe halfway down.
Right, I think that they're kind of all posted. I don't think it's a big issue, but now that you got that construction, now you got more people.
Right.
Like new signs anyway added because I think they're too far apart.
Okay.
When you go through there after you get,
So if I just split the, on the existing where they are there,
Mhm.
if I just have Mike split the distance
Yeah.
between the ones that are there.
Yes, those
Okay.
are
Construction
right
traffic
inside.
right now. Those guys
Okay.
are
Yeah, I
I
parking
can go up there.
right across from each other.
I
It's
could go up there at some point. and
It's-
say like, yeah, I think.
I see
it's-
somebody popping out from one of those.
And no
trees.
parking signs on the
Yeah.
problem. We have them.
You have. 'em.
And so we can get those, up.
Pretty
Do
sure.
you have anything?
posted.
Is there something else yet?
Yeah.
I thought they were on the signs
Just one.
on the, what I
Yeah,
call the
I know
loop.
I know for a fact they're there.
There's one.
There's one.
but you know, down in that section there, when I drive through there, I see very, very few cars
Mhm.
parked on the street.
They have long driveways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's
Most of
just during those where they got construction going on.
It is,
That's
yeah.
why I was sharing with him is that
tough.
it's never been a problem there, but now you kind of do have that construction and you have more units out there too, which could be causing an issue itself. And then if we're doing the signs there, there may want to be some consideration for Benedict as well.
I would,
The other consideration. I
Especially
think, is
Benedict,
you
because
get one of
that-
these contractors that pops out from one of those trailers or, comes in between of them and cars right on top of them.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have much room to,
I'll clean it
I,
up.
yeah, just from a safety
And
point.
it's,
Construction's an issue.
I get it. Yeah, I understand. I do get that, but is there something that we need to do to be a little more safe on our end of it?
Just be more proactive and
Yeah.
how we handle it.
Okay.
and the discussion that you brought up, like in Leafy Dale on the no parking signs. And it's a little bit of moving target for us because on one hand, I'll have council, they don't want a lot of signs. They don't want additional posts and signs. So that's how they ended up on the light poles. They said, we'll put them on the light poles where you can, because we don't want
Mm-hmm.
more posts everywhere. And this particular development, because of the long driveways, that's why their no parking are very sparse, because they didn't want a bunch of
Okay.
signs impeding the view of the grass in the area. So I can
Okay.
add signs or take signs away. I can put them on light poles. I can. But a while back, when all these were being discussed, it was, we didn't want all those signposts and signs because
Right.
it hurts the view and the look. of
Yeah,
the
there's a
property.
no parking right there.
that,
If you was to look at that on Google Maps, what's the distance between those two?
242 foot.
Go Put $1 down on the table, Marvin.
Well, I mean, it's substantial. They are sparse in there, but that was what was wanted. And
Yeah. Do they
it was
not
very
want-
true. There is very few street parking.
I agree with
in
that.
there.
Do they not want them on the light poles there in that development?
Yeah, when that was brought up, they didn't want them on the light poles. Because the light poles were supposed to be a decorative pole in itself. They didn't want a sign on it. And like I said, it's funny because over in Leafy Dale, they didn't want
Right,
new
like, and then measure
posts
distance,
everywhere.
like
So
put a
they said,
cursor.
put them on the light poles.
Yeah.
So we try to accommodate,
Yes,
you know,
I
what
agree.
what each development wants, but I can do either. I can,
That section that Doug's talking about, there's no curbs and gutters on that. Sarah signed some kind of a deal with that guy that he didn't have to put them in. You remember that, Jack?
yes,
The rest of it has curbs and gutters, but that section,
the
Doesn't.
back section.
yeah.
Yeah, because that was supposed to be a private road. When it was brought in, I didn't understand what the deal was, but that back section was supposed to be a private road and we weren't supposed to maintain it. But then Sarah cut a deal when they didn't, and when it was a private road, we didn't require curb and gutter. But then Sarah did take it
650.
and there's no curb and gutter there now. And of course, we're not going to put one there, but we do plow and maintain it now.
Well,
So if we don't put a sign in the ground and we don't put it on the light post, can you suspend it with a drone?
Cam,
Or
Substantially
Solar
more
powered.
you and I said the same.
Okay, Marvin.
I was trying to think outside the box.
yeah, it's, and like I told the chief, we have no parking signs. I don't think it's something I gotta order. I can get them up, I can get them down. But I did want to bring out that particular development, you know, with the long driveways and the big garages, they didn't want a lot of signs
I understand.
in there.
Makes sense.
But
I'm just thinking right now through the construction phase. You know, can we do something a little bit different? through
So on the lower
through the
leg of that,
construction?
I
Yeah,
could put signs up at least temporarily, or do you want me to go through the whole development and add?
I think temporarily right now, you know,
Just on the.
I
leg that goes
would.
to Edwards Road.
yeah, we already know what their intentions are for longevity wise. I'm just saying through this construction phase, just to make the, you know, contractors aware of what's going on. I would just,
Working East Side Road.
And to be the devil's advocate on this, that they'll, sooner or later, they're gonna start construction there in Benedict as well.
right, yes, I understand. Yep,
Oh, they already have.
yeah.
Worst case, if they're not permanent, I mean, we will reuse them somewhere else, I'm sure.
We already have them in house, Jack said. So
Okay, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
not as
yeah,
if you
no,
have to
I
order.
think we have no parking.
All right.
signs. I don't think that's something I have to
All
order.
right, that's
We
good.
generally
it
keep.
may be a temporary thing, Jack. I just don't want to
Okay.
see anybody get hurt
We
through
don't
this for
want- we
the,
don't want
I
to,
get it. It's going to be temporary and next year may be a mute point at this time. You know, they may
Yeah,
be
because
built out
that's
down there.
it's actually filling up.
Yeah,
pretty
it
quick
is.
in there. It's
we
filling
want
up
that
pretty quick.
construction to go pretty fast because the faster they get built up, the faster we get the 1% out of them.
And I think it has been going pretty fast.
Yeah.
They're nice houses.
Okay, my second point, I've noticed recently, a lot of Amazon, FedEx and UPS double parking out on 62 and 37.
Mhm.
How do we control that? Because I witnessed 2 nights in a row coming home from work where people almost got whacked up on Main Street by trying to go around those people.
Yep.
And I mean, literally both times I had my hands on the wheel saying, oh no. And I just knew I was going to see something and how they got through it. Like, how did that happen?
See, the
And then
big,
the next night, I'm like, how did that happen again?
the big semi is trying to navigate you know,
Yes.
around
Yeah.
them.
How do we control that? Do we make a phone call to Amazon or all 3 of them?
I've seen them where you've got one on each, literally each side of the road. So you talk
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
narrowing the road even more. It gets,
They have no qualms about
Oh, no,
stopping.
they
Very
stop, they're on their 4-way
very tight.
flashers and off they do their thing.
When you call Amazon, and you want the package delivered next day, they got to park somewhere to deliver it to. you.
I get that, but
I did talk to
you're
the driver.
impeding
I
on the
said, "Why don't
safety
you
now of
go on
other
the driveway?"
people.
And they said, well, they have instructed them not to pull in the driveway because it's more dangerous for them to try to back out on. But it's more dangerous for the people going down the road than to be on the road. So I don't know that they have. the
I don't know.
authority to
That's just something I've-
Stop on a state route.
I've been a witness to the last couple of weeks and it's,
Well, so like it's definitely enforceable. But it's also a fine line of, you know, them wanting to keep safe too. So like, I think for me personally, when I look at it, if it's somebody that's delivering appliances or something like that, and I know they're going to be there for 30 minutes, I'm like, no. Or you'll get like the lawn care guy and then he'll stop, he'll get out his lawn care stuff and he'll start fertilizing somebody's lawn. And I'm like, no, like these times are taking too long. So we can work with the downtown businesses and we can say, hey, it's no longer acceptable for these trucks to park in front. So you're to instruct them that they have to go into the alley or they have to go into the business lawn.
it's not so much where the businesses are though, chief. It's where the houses are.
Residential.
Right. And then that's where I see a lot of it too, is residential. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword because you want you don't want to disrupt the service of those people getting their parcels and stuff like that. And at the same time, like you want to have a little bit of compassion towards, people that are, out there delivering those packages. But then I also am pretty firm on my stance of like, if they're fertilizing a lawn or if they're delivering appliances, stuff like that, then no, you got to figure out something else.
Yeah.
If there's an accident, who's at fault? The person trying to go around or the Amazon van that stopped?
Technically, the person that's going around, because they're bound to that double yellow line. You technically not allowed to go around it.
But
Generally that UPS guy is long gone. So by the time you get there, like there's a UPS guy that was right here blocking it. And you're like, well, where they at? Just get truck number, license. They're like, no.
I understand what your logic is, you're saying about the lawn guy and the Amazon guy, but if the Amazon guy starts down, the lawn guy's getting one house, Amazon guy's going down Main Street and he's getting 7 or 8, so he's double parking or parking in the street down through there. Why should he be treated any different than the lawn service guy? He
And-
might just be there 5 minutes, but you're putting a double standard out there. It's okay for one, but it's not for the other, chief.
Right. And it's a very good argument, Mr. Block. And that's just it. Is there really a clear cut answer on this one? Like,
I don't know.
because I definitely want to keep the roadways open. I want to keep people commuting when they have to go through this. It's inherently dangerous. It's dangerous for motorists traveling in both directions. It's also dangerous for the truck, so on and so forth. The nice thing is generally those drivers are not exiting out of a certain side of the vehicle. They're getting out of the passenger side.
Well, I don't know. I've seen them exit both sides.
Well, the Amazon guys are for sure getting out of their driver's side, but the FedEx and the UPS, they'll exit out of the other side.
Is there I guess just asking, is there a state law where you can't double park on a state highway?
Well, they're not really double parked. They're just illegally parked on that roadway. So yeah, they technically cannot stop or stand that motor vehicle in that area. So even if they're in the vehicle and it is standing, it's still against the law.
Okay.
And what do we do about the person that delivers a mail? They're coming to complete stop to deliver somebody's parcels as well. Mail.
They should be under the same as everybody else, in my opinion.
But
They
they
can-
walk
they
on
have
Main
just-
Street.
They
Yeah,
could walk Main Street or they have a smaller vehicle they could pull into the driveway.
So it's a tough,
I
it's a tough
understand.
conversation to have.
Tough call.
I mean, I think Jack had a very good question, comes down to when somebody does get hit, how's that going to play out?
Technically, the person can't, if it's a double yellow line that's going down the roadway, you cannot cross it. You are bound to that lane.
Okay.
Just like if you're behind a trash truck and it's double yellow, like you're behind that trash truck.
I know
It's
that you,
just tough when he's illegally
That
parked.
happens.
Not too
every
bad
day.
getting behind those trash trucks in the winter, but it's a bitch in the summer.
the UPS guy, I think you guys all know him. He told me it'd be 2 years ago that he had over 70 deliveries in Leafydale. Just UPS. That wasn't Amazon.
Mhm.
So it's only going to increase.
It will. Well, sooner or later, we'll get drones.
I was
We'll
going to
just
say,
like
we're going to have drones.
drop them in there.
We're going to have drones available here.
When they're not holding up parking signs, they're dropping off packing.
We're also going to have Amazon Locker. I think that would potentially help.
It's true. Very true.
Maybe we ought to get those lockers out front, getting rent out of them.
Oh, I got to assume so. There's one down at Circle K in Newark, right there downtown, right by the Chamber of Commerce.
Call them and tell them we need one here. Hmm? Oh, not in front of the building.
I'll call Jeff, see what he can
Oh,
do.
There's a camera, I guess.
Put it in the rain garden.
In the rain garden. I don't know. just some
We tried
considerations.
experimental stuff.
It works.
I understand.
But
It's just tough.
I understand what you're saying too.
And then you
because
factor in being a rural community with harvest going on right now. You get some of these tractors and combines that come down through here. You have somebody parked like that, you're in trouble because these guys cannot go
there's no way
anywhere.
Around
They're
them.
stuck. And, then it's a mess.
I agree. And that's why, like, I tend to press the people that are there for longer periods of time. So
Okay.
like, and then my goal is to get out with them and educate them. You can't, because that person that's fertilizing that lawn is typically there once a
I get
month.
you. Yeah,
Or you might have somebody, so it's like, hey, you need to either park where the school is, or you need to park over here, go down the side road, whatever it takes. And I guess to Mr. Block's point, it's I mean, they're both breaking the law, you know, and it could be the difference between somebody doing 7 miles over the speed limit and somebody doing 20 miles over the speed limit.
I understand,
Me too.
I understand what you're saying, chief. But
Can I interject a question? As the light at 62 and 37, I noticed we were gonna have them come out and make some adjustments. Has it been adjusted?
Okay.
OCATS came and said, don't touch it. I forget.
Wrong. Well, unless I misunderstood, they just want us to extend the time on 37
By 3 seconds.
by 3 seconds.
Yes.
So the initial call was put in to extend 37 and shorten 62. They hadn't done the work yet. I asked Mike to put the call in, not to do anything to 62, just extend by 3 seconds on 37. So the request has been made, but the change has not been made.
What's that gonna cost?
$3,462 and
I think he said it was gonna be something like $1,500 or $1,700.
You're off, Mark.
I asked him to see if we could get the program, see if we could get training so we could manipulate it ourselves. Mike has not got back to me on it, so I'll make a note to ask him.
Just
how
curious.
that's going.
Is it usually charged by trip or just by complexity of request?
Well, it's just a reprogram.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And I think they kind of have a flat fee for every
Okay.
time you ask. You know, like I said, $1,700 for 3 seconds seems like a lot, but yet they got to go through whatever work they have to do to.
I had just asked because if we do try and bring it in-house for whatever reason, we'd have a direct ROI that we'd be able to apply. Whatever.
But yes, I have asked that to see if we could, we legally own the program. What does it cost to get the program? What does it cost to train 1 or 2 of our guys to know how to go in and manipulate the program?
Yeah.
And I asked Mike to ask all those questions when he made a phone call.
And you're gonna need the capital expensive computers.
Yeah, we'll have to have a
Modules.
computer and software to
just
do
put it out there in the cloud.
I guarantee you can with a proper modem and all that
Or you
stuff, or,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or just buy those corner buildings,
Starlink.
put a roundabout in there and be done with it.
I think that's.
That's
what
why we need the
TID 's supposed
ROI,
to do.
right?
If I had your money, I'd burn mine, Jack.
All right. Any other business? Any other
No, sir.
questions?
I'm done.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
No.